Why do women stop wanting sex after they get married? It's the question nobody wants to ask out loud, and it's the question that's destroying marriages every single day. I see it in my practice constantly. Couples sitting across from each other, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife, and underneath all the surface complaints about chores and schedules and money, there's this unspoken crisis. The intimacy has died, and nobody knows how to talk about it. Today, we're going to talk about the real reasons, not the ones you've been fed by therapists and self-help books. The raw, uncomfortable truth about what's actually happening inside a woman's mind and body when she shuts down to intimacy. As a woman, and as someone who has dedicated her career to understanding these dynamics, I'm going to share things with you that most professionals won't say. Because I believe you deserve the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Let's get into it. The first reason women lose interest in sex is something most people have never even considered. Every time we have sex, we feel like we're giving away a piece of ourselves that we don't have to give. Let that sink in for a second. We feel like an object, like our husband is taking something from us, like there's this invisible well inside of us, and every time we're intimate, he's drawing from it. And we're already running on empty. I can't tell you how many women have sat in my office and described this exact sensation. They use words like depleted, used up, hollow. They feel like intimacy is yet another demand on a list of demands that never ends. Another person needing something from them when they have nothing left to give. And here's the thing, that feeling is real. But it's not because of him. It's not because he's demanding too much or being selfish or only thinking about one thing. It's because of us. It stems from our disconnection from ourselves, from what I call being unhappy. And I don't mean sad. I mean nobody's home. We're not in here. We've abandoned ourselves so completely that there's nothing left to give. Think about it. As women, we pour everything into everyone else. The kids, the house, the job, the extended family, the friend who always needs something, the school committees, the meal planning, the emotional labor of remembering every birthday and appointment and preference of every person in our orbit. We put ourselves dead last on the priority list. And then we wonder why we feel so drained. There's no consideration of ourselves, no thought of, what do I need to feel whole? What do I need to feel full so I actually have something to offer my husband, my kids, my marriage? We don't ask those questions. We've been conditioned to believe that asking those questions is selfish, that good women sacrifice, that good mothers give until there's nothing left, and so we do. And then we resent everyone around us for taking what we freely offered. And here's the twisted irony. We're the queens of putting ourselves last, but we're also incredibly selfish and self-centered, and those two things are directly connected. I know that sounds contradictory, but stay with me here. When you're drained, when you're empty, you start to feel entitled. Entitled to withdraw, entitled to withhold, entitled to say, I have nothing to give, as if that's a valid excuse to shut down an entire department of your marriage. We become self-focused in our depletion. Everything becomes about how tired we are, how overwhelmed we are, how nobody understands what we're going through. And while those feelings are valid, they become a shield we hide behind. But the emptiness isn't his fault. It's the result of us refusing to take care of ourselves in the first place. We created the deficit, and then we blame everyone else for not filling it. The second reason women lose interest in sex? Self-punishment. This one goes deep, and as a professional, I've seen it manifest in countless ways that women don't even recognize. See, most women, if we're being brutally honest, don't feel good about ourselves. We're insecure. We pick ourselves apart constantly. We compare ourselves to other women, their bodies, their lives, their Instagram feeds, their marriages that look perfect from the outside. We tear down how we look physically. We stand in front of mirrors and catalog our flaws. We beat ourselves up for not being enough. Not thin enough, not pretty enough, not successful enough, not put together enough. We compare our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and we always come up short. And we can put on a facade. Oh, we're great at that. Smiling, pretending everything's fine, acting like we've got it all figured out. We've mastered the art of I'm fine when we're falling apart inside. But if we shine a flashlight into the dark corners of our minds, we'll see the truth. We don't like ourselves. Some of us, we loathe ourselves. There's a running commentary of criticism in our heads that never stops, and it's far crueler than anything anyone else has ever said to us. And when you feel that way about yourself, you withhold anything that might make you feel good. This is basic psychology. Sex is designed to be pleasurable. That's why God made us the way He did, with the bodies and the nerve endings and the capacity for enjoyment. We're built to experience pleasure. Our bodies are wired for it. But when you hate yourself, you don't believe you deserve it. Pleasure feels wrong. Enjoyment feels unearned. So you deprive yourself. You shut down. You punish yourself by refusing to experience something good. It's self-sabotage dressed up as exhaustion or disinterest. And in the process, you punish your husband too. It's not about him. It never was. It's about the war you're waging against yourself. He just becomes collateral damage in a battle he doesn't even know is being fought. The third reason is one most women will never admit to, and it's something I've had to confront in my own life as well: control. As we get older, as we settle into marriage, something happens to us. We become more rigid, more afraid, more desperate to control everything around us because life feels so chaotic and uncertain. We start grasping, clenching, white-knuckling our way through every day, trying to manage every variable, every outcome, every potential disaster. We become the household managers, the schedulers, the ones who keep all the plates spinning. And somewhere along the way, we start to believe that if we loosen our grip for even a moment, everything will fall apart. And sex? Sex threatens that sense of control. Because to actually enjoy sex, to be present, to let go, to experience pleasure, you have to loosen up. You have to surrender. You have to stop being the manager of everything for 5 minutes and just be. You have to turn off the mental to-do list and actually inhabit your body. And that terrifies us. So we lose the spontaneity, the exploration, the playfulness we had when we were younger. Remember when intimacy was exciting? When it was an adventure? When you could get lost in the moment without thinking about the laundry or the kids' lunches or the meeting tomorrow? We trade it all for rigidity and rules. And not tonight. I have too much on my mind. We schedule intimacy like it's a dentist appointment, and then we wonder why it feels clinical and obligatory. But here's what we don't want to admit. It's not that we can't let go. It's that we won't. Because staying in control feels safer than being vulnerable with the one person we're supposed to be completely vulnerable with. Control is armor. Vulnerability is exposure. And we've been hurt enough that we choose the armor every time, even when it's suffocating us. And as long as we deny this, we can't heal it. We can only heal what we're willing to expose, what we're willing to look at, what we're willing to admit is actually happening inside of us. The first step is always awareness. Without it, we're just rearranging furniture on a sinking ship. The fourth reason women stop wanting sex: we never learn to enjoy it for ourselves in the first place. This one is going to sting. And I say that with compassion because I understand how we got here. Most of us had sex for all the wrong reasons from the very beginning. We used it as a weapon, a manipulation, a tool to get something: attention, validation, a relationship, a man who would finally make us feel wanted. We had sex for him. We did what we thought we needed to do to keep him interested. We put on a show, performing what we saw in movies, what we thought men expected, what we thought would make us desirable. We faked enthusiasm. We prioritized his experience over our own. We learned to read his cues while ignoring our own body's signals entirely. And in all of that performing, we never once stopped to ask, what do I actually like? We don't know our own bodies. We're scared to explore. We've been taught that female sexuality is complicated, mysterious, difficult to navigate. We've made sex this big, overwhelming, complicated thing instead of what it actually is: a physical experience we're designed to enjoy. Men understand this. For them, sex is simple. It's physical, it's pleasurable. It's something the body was made to do and enjoy. They don't overcomplicate it with layers of meaning and emotional prerequisites. But we've made it emotional. We've made it about love and relationships and deeper meaning. We've convinced ourselves that sex equals commitment, that it equals being valued, that it has to mean something profound every single time. And then we buy into all the myths society feeds us, that we're like ovens that need to be preheated, that we need extensive foreplay, that we have to reach orgasm every time or it doesn't count, that our husbands need to do all this work to get us in the mood, that if he can't figure out what we need, he must not love us enough. Honestly, a lot of that is nonsense. When you actually know yourself, when you've done the work to understand what you like and what you don't, it becomes so much simpler. The complicated production we think we need, most of us don't actually need it. We just think we do because that's what we've been told, but we've never bothered to find out for ourselves. We've outsourced our pleasure to our partners instead of taking ownership of it. And good men, all they want is for you to be yourself, to know what you enjoy, to be present and authentic, instead of performing some version of sexuality you think you're supposed to embody. They don't want an actress, they want a partner, someone who's actually there with them, not going through the motions while mentally planning tomorrow's schedule. And now we get to the big one, the fifth reason. And this is the core issue why women lose interest in sex after marriage. We have weakened our husbands to the point of no longer being attracted to them. Let me say that again because it's important. We have weakened our husbands to the point where we are no longer attracted to them. This isn't something that happened to us. This is something we did. And I know how hard that is to hear. Here's how it works. We emasculate our husbands slowly, systematically, often without even realizing it. It's death by 1,000 cuts. We shame them. We make them wrong constantly. We nitpick everything they do. We criticize how they load the dishwasher, how they fold the laundry, how they discipline the kids, how they drive, how they breathe. Nothing is ever good enough. Nothing is ever done the right way, which really means our way. We send them the message over and over and over that they are not good enough, that nothing they do is right, that they need to change, to improve, to be different than who they are. We treat them like children. We talk down to them. We roll our eyes. We sigh when they speak. We dismiss their ideas and override their decisions. We correct them in front of others. We make them the butt of jokes with our friends. We undermine their authority with the children. And then we wonder why we don't want to sleep with them anymore. Of course, we're not attracted to them. We've stripped them of their masculinity. We've turned strong men into shells. We've beaten them down until there's nothing left to desire. We've created exactly what we didn't want and then blamed them for becoming it. And here's the word that comes up more than any other when I talk to women who've done this to their husbands: repulsed. They say they feel repulsed by their husbands. They find them repulsive, and they think it's his fault. They think there's something wrong with him. They don't see that they created this. They emasculated him into someone they could never be attracted to, and then blamed him for her lack of desire. It's devastating, and it's entirely self-inflicted. But here's the part that goes even deeper. And this is where my professional training and personal experience intersect. The emasculation, the way we tear down our husbands, stems from how we feel about ourselves. When we treat good men this way, when we shame them and criticize them and make them wrong constantly, it's a reflection. It's a mirror of how much we don't like ourselves. Deep down, we loathe ourselves. We hate who we've become. And because we can't face that, we project it onto the person closest to us. We're repulsed by ourselves, and we take it out on him. The criticism we heap on him is often the criticism we're afraid to direct at ourselves. It's easier to find fault in someone else than to sit with our own inadequacies. We don't have the context to see this. We're not taught to look inward and take responsibility. Instead, we're told it's our upbringing, our childhood, our trauma, our parents' fault. Society gives us endless excuses for our behavior. We're overworked, we're underappreciated, we carry the mental load. And while those things may be true, they don't excuse how we show up in our marriages. But the truth, we don't feel good about ourselves because of the choices we make, because of how we show up, because we know deep down that we're not being good women, not being good partners, not being good people. And instead of fixing that, we destroy our marriages. We burn down the house because we can't stand what we see in the mirror. So where does this leave us? Look, I'm not sharing this to shame anyone. Shame isn't the goal here. Awareness is. I'm sharing it because I've lived it. I've been the woman who is disconnected from herself, punishing herself, controlling everything, performing instead of being present, and slowly destroying my husband's sense of masculinity. I know this path intimately, and I know there's a way out. It starts with being honest, brutally, painfully honest about what's really happening inside of us. Not the story we tell our friends or our therapist or ourselves, the real story. The one we're afraid to admit even in the privacy of our own minds. It starts with reconnecting to ourselves, not in the bubble bath and wine way that magazines talk about, but in the real way, the way that requires us to look at the ugly parts and take responsibility for them. It means sitting with the discomfort instead of numbing it. It means asking hard questions and being willing to hear hard answers. It starts with stopping the emasculation, recognizing when we're criticizing, dismissing, controlling, and choosing differently. Catching ourselves in the moment and making a different choice. Building our husbands up instead of tearing them down. remembering why we chose them in the first place. And it starts with understanding that sex isn't something we give away. It's not a transaction. It's not something he takes from us. It's something we get to enjoy when we do the work to become the kind of woman who's capable of enjoying it. When we reconnect with ourselves, when we stop punishing ourselves, when we release control, when we learn what we actually like, when we build up our husbands instead of tearing them down, intimacy becomes something we want, not something we dread. The marriage you want is possible, but it requires you to change. Not him, you. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow. We want it to be his fault. We want the solution to be something he needs to fix. But the transformation starts with us, always. Thank you for being here today. I know this was a hard one, but these are the conversations that actually move the needle. These are the truths that set us free, even when they're painful to hear. I'm Dr. Jocelyn, and I'll see you in the next one.